Done. And then let's go to communication aids and strategies using tools of technology. So those communication aids and strategies are the making use of PowerPoint presentation tools. We have several examples of it. Presentation tools. Can you give me an example of a presentation tool? What do you usually use when making a presentation aside from PowerPoint?
PowerPoint.
So yeah, we have PowerPoint. And aside from PowerPoint, what else? Or what other multimedia can you use to make a presentation? Diba multimedia we have there starts with letter V. It's in front of you.
Visual.
Uh-huh, visual. And another letter V. Can you guess?
Video.
Video, yes. And then in making a presentation, let's say PowerPoint presentation, you could integrate videos there. And then we also have the sound recording and reproduction. But before we go to this one, I just want to ask you, aside from PowerPoint, for Google, what do they have for PowerPoint presentation or as PowerPoint presentation? Ang tawag doon? Di ba Google, what? Starts with letter S. Google?
Google Slides.
Yes, Google Slides. It seems like you're not yet that familiar with Google because only one student answered, or maybe you're not just sure. We also have the Prezi, if you're familiar with Prezi. We also have Canva, Slide Camp, Microsoft. Actually, those are just the newcomers when it comes to the slide presentation. We also have Haiku Deck, but that's not familiar to me anymore. What's famous or popular are Canva, Google Slides, and PowerPoint presentation or PPT. And then Prezi. If you've seen Prezi presentation, it's really good. Now, we have different types of multimedia. So it's content that uses combination of different content forms such as text, audio, images, animations, video, and interactive content. Now, one example of multimedia is the video. Video is an electronic medium for recording. You can copy, you can play it back, you can broadcast using a video and display of moving visual media. And then we also have, aside from video, the sound recording and reproduction. So it's often electrical, mechanical, or electronic and digital inscription. If you are a singer, and then if you are, what do you call that? Yung, nag-ano siya? Sa Spotify, I forgot the name, the term for that. Yung para kang nagpa-podcast, ganon. Sound recording and reproduction. That's what you call it. And you can use that. You can recreate for sound waves such as spoken voice, singing, instrumental music, and sound effects. Then we also have the PowerPoint or the web-based and online presentation. This a PowerPoint before when I was in college, parang hindi I wasn't able to feel that I can present online using the PowerPoint, but now they've already innovated just like Google Slides that wherever you are, you don't need a USB anymore. You just need to go to your account, just type log in using your name and your password, and your presentation will be there in a snap of a finger. Just like Google Slides, wherever you go, it's just right there once you log in. But before PowerPoint, you have to have a USB. And then project examples include PowerPoint, online, Google Slides, Keynote, Prezi, Basic, LinkedIn, and SlideShare. Now we are going part of your project for the prelims. I'm not gonna make this long. Is you have to follow a general guideline for creating an effective presentation. this is what usually my students fail to follow. The general guideline for creating an effective presentation is in the module. But when I open the projects, kunyari, they've already submitted their projects because it's a group work. What they do is they create their own presentation without following the guidelines. What I want my students, just you, for BSIT students, I want you to follow the guidelines. I know let me share to you a story so that you won't do the same mistake. Because when I was in college, our professors gave us guidelines for us to follow. But as a student, kasi ako, I love doing experiments. I don't follow the guidelines. So ngayon, what happened is I ended up getting a low score. Kasi nga, I'm experimenting. Probably I might make a better output without following the guidelines. So that was a huge mistake. Ngayon, we were being taught kasi how to teach, ways on how to teach. Pero hindi ko sinunod 'yon. I did not follow that because gusto ko ang masunod sarili ko. Pero do not ever do that. I'm already giving you the general guideline for you to follow, and the guidelines are there for a reason. So, wag kayong mag-eksperimento. Sundin nyo lang kung ano. You can make an experiment outside this class. That's what I can say. Kasi I am grading you based on the guidelines that I gave you. You have to follow it. Tsaka na kayo mag-experiment. If you're already on your own, for example, you're already graduate, or and don't do that to other professors because that's a big mistake that a student can ever make is following your own guideline instead of the professor's guideline. So yun, medyo pasaway kasi ako nun. So let's start with mhm, the general guideline. First is you have to minimize the number of slides when making a PowerPoint. Why do you have to minimize the number of slides? So that your audience will not become bored and it will become too alam mo yun, you will just bombard your audience with a lot of slides, a lot of images to the point that they will already become confused. Too much images, too much text. So try to minimize your number of slides. And it should not exceed 15 slides for a 1 hour presentation. Now, if it's only a 30-minute presentation, an 8 slide rule will should be followed. So remember, it should not exceed 15 slides for 1 hour presentation. Dapat you already set that in stone. And then number 2, choose a readable font style. Avoid yung mga narrow fonts like yung mga Arial narrow. Aside from the narrow fonts, avoid using yung mga curvy edged font style because that's gonna make it hard for your audience to read it. Diba, if you're, let's say, you were inside a presentation, and then your classmates would use yung mga font styles like yung mga Blackadder ITC, yung mga bold and all caps, it's a no-no. Kasi I have some students who are already used to using all caps and they can no longer unlearn it. So try to unlearn using all caps all the way. You only use capital letters if it's the start of a sentence. Now, choose always a readable font style. And what are those font styles that are readable? Let's try to open the PowerPoint presentation if I have it here, because I have it in my laptop. It's loading. Just hold on a second. entire screen. Can you see it? Can you see the slide presentation? It's
Yes, ma'am.
entitled. In choosing the font, let's say I'm gonna type my name. Okay, let's choose the font. Let's say Arial. Arial is okay if you're gonna use font. Now, what about Lobster? Do you think Lobster is a good font to use in your presentation? Kasi it's narrow eh. It's already narrowed down and anything that's narrow should not be used in your presentation. What about, lakihan ko lang so that everybody can see it clearly. Comic Sans, is it okay? Is it good? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, it's still. Kasi it's not narrowed down and it's not that curvy. Now let's try Roboto, if there's Roboto here. Roboto, is it still good?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, of course. And what about Pacifico? Pacifico? It's not, but it's already curvy. So your audience might have a difficult time. Anyway, you don't have to spend your time choosing the font style. As long as it's readable, that's fine. As long as it's not curvy and it's not narrow, you're good. Okay, and then let's go to the next guideline. Choose a readable font size. Now here is the thing. 1 inch letter is a readable or is readable from 10 feet away. If you think that your audience will be kind of far, then you use 1 inch for the letters. And then 2 inch letter from 20 feet away, but that's already too far. And then a 3 inch letter from 30 feet away. Basta, as long as it's 30, always remember, just remove the zero and that should be the size of the font that will be readable to your audience. Next is use bullet points or short sentences. Are you the kind of a student who always bombards the listeners with a long paragraph per slide? It shouldn't be the case. You just want your audience to listen to you and not to read the text on the screen. So the longer the text in your slide is, then you're trying to veer your audience away from you. You are the longer text is taking away their attention away from you. So what you're gonna do is you just use bullet points or short sentences if you cannot help it. And then use art to convey your message. How are you going to put art? Use graphic to help you tell your story, but don't overwhelm your audience by adding too many in one slide. But I think collage will be helpful if you really want to include a lot of pictures. Now for the graphics, please do not use yung mga scary photos, yung mga bloody, yung mga gore, because that's already too graphic for your audience to handle, and that might trigger something in them if they have yung mga syndrome na tinatawag, like yung mga, I forgot the name of those syndromes, pero do not use those kinds of graphic. As much as possible, you try to just use the simple ones, the colorful, and if you're going to use pictures or images, use the high quality resolution. Yung mga gano, HD, or if you don't have it, then yung mga ano lang, as long as it's clear. Do not use yung mga parang kinopy-paste from an old picture that was a long time ago na pinilit mo lang ilagay doon. And then number 6 is use labels for charts and graphs. What are charts and graphs? What does it look like? Charts and graphs. Di ba yun yung mga pie chart? And if you're going to use, let's say, bar graph, do not forget to include the title. What's this bar graph for? So let's say this bar graph is for the sales of ice cream in a week. So so that your audience will be guided. Para saan ba tong bar graph na to? So it will say that it's for the sales of ice cream in a week. And then next would be use subtle backgrounds consistently. When we say use subtle backgrounds consistently, do not use dark colored backgrounds unless you are presenting in the middle of the night wherein all the lights are turned off. Hindi na uso ngayon yun, yung naka-turn off yung mga lights. Anyone can do the presentation um, in the during daylight, wherein you don't need to darken your background so that they wouldn't have eyesore. What you can do is just use white background or gray background color so that it will be easier on their eyes, especially if you are presenting daylight. And then um, related to number 7, use high contrast between background and the text color. If you used white as your background, then your text color should be black. It should be dark. It should be highly contrasting. Now, would you expect someone using a red background with a black font color? That's going to be difficult to read. So use high contrast. Red is dark color already. And if you're going to use black font, it's also dark. So it doesn't contrast. There should be a contrast so that the text would easily be seen. And then you're only going to use black background if you're presenting in the middle of the night, but not so much. You don't present that kind of, you don't really do that. So steer clear from it. Next is check the spelling and grammar. This is to earn and maintain the respect of your audience. Although everyone seems to, regardless if your grammar or spelling is correct or not, everyone should be respected. But for this one, I do agree that you have to check the spelling and grammar so that it would be more credible. You are respectable, but you'll become more credible. When I say credible, they will easily believe you if your spelling and grammar is correct because without checking the spelling and the grammar, you would sound lousy, sloppy, and you just seems like you are not that prepared, not to even bother checking if the spelling and grammar is correct. Next is number 10, add references before you say thank you at the last part of your slide. Before you say thank you, you have to what? You have to add the references first. Now I have examples. I have examples of a slide here. Just hold on a second. PowerPoint sample. So it's loading and then now let's try to evaluate this slide. So it's all about the depletion of natural resources and biodiversity. Let's look at the number of slides. Tingnan natin itong slides na to. Let's count it ha. 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, the number of slides is already here. There are only 10 slides. Was the student able to follow the guideline for the correct number of slides? Yes or no? It says here, should not exceed 15 slides. So, 10 slides is just, but right? Okay na yon. Next is choose a readable font style. Let's try to look at the font style that he used. I think this is Times New Roman. What happened? It turned blue. Can you see it? It turned blue.
Ma'am, kulay blue nga.
Let me refresh it. So it's he used Times New Roman, and he is consistently using Times New Roman on all of his slides. Everything is Times New Roman. Now let's go to the third guideline, which is to choose a readable font size. Can you read it? Can you read it clearly? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
From your screen, yeah, from the distance, I mean, the distance from your screen to your eyes, it's still readable. And the more it will be readable if it will be presented using a projector. But nowadays, since the new normal started, then there's no more use of we're no longer using the PowerPoint projector, but it's already projected on our gadgets. Next is use bullet points or short sentences. Now you want your audience to listen to you and not to your text. Now let's go from the second slide. Did he use bullet points? Did he use sentences, or did he use long paragraphs? So for this
Just a,
one, yeah. Ryan.
he used just sentences po.
Mm-hmm. So he used sentences, and it's in bullet points. Now, what about for this one? Natural resources are materials or substances such as minerals, forest, water, and fertile land that occur in nature and exist without any actions of humankind and be used for economic gain. This one kind of is kind of long, but still would not take away the attention of the audience from you. So this is still forgivable. We can still consider this one. And aside from that, it's not that long anyway. So we can still forgive this one. As long as you indicated it here. I mean, you have a reason why you want to make it this long is because shortening it might not encapsulate the entire meaning. So you have to extend the sentences. But this one is good. What about for the rest of the slides? So he still used bullet points. What about this one? This one is in the form of a short paragraph, but still forgivable. Because it's not consistent naman. One slide is okay. Two slides, okay. Three bullets, okay. Okay, like this one, oh. But this one, this is the only sentence, so it's still forgivable. And sometimes kasi you cannot really avoid. Pero much better if this one will be shorter, but I guess you cannot help it because the information or the meaning might get lost if you would reduce the sentence or the paragraph. This one is short, so it's still good. It's not really it will not really paragraph assault you. It will not bombard you. Still easy to read. But if you can make it shorter than this one, then the better. So yun lang. That's what I can say for this one. Make shorter paragraphs. Use bullet points. So that is the only thing that he can improve. But what about for the other slide? I mean, the other guideline. Use art to convey your message. Was he able to use graphics, pictures? There are a lot of pictures. And let's try to look. Let's evaluate how he slammed all the pictures in this presentation. So he's trying to vary it. He's trying to alter. There are two pictures in one slide, and then after the slide, there's no more picture. Then two pictures again in a horizontal form or arrangement. Then two pictures again. Two pictures again in a vertical format. One picture. So he's trying to vary it. And then there is a collage, if that's what you call it. So there are two pictures vertically, two pictures again. And does the picture look entertaining? Does it look interesting? Does it add appeal to your senses? When I say senses, to your sense of sight. So yan. And aside from that, kasi the graphics can add or can stimulate your senses, not just with your eyes. Because there are some images that you can smell. It's like this one. Mm. And then there are some images that evoke emotion from you. So like this one, it can evoke the feeling of sadness. Kasi nga, nakakalbo na yung depletion of the natural resources. Next is use art. No, not this one. Use label for charts and graphs. Did he use charts or any kind of graphs? Let's see. So he did not use it because probably to him it doesn't deem necessary. So there he did not use it. It's okay if you don't have it. If it's not necessary, then why put it? Next is use subtle backgrounds consistently. When we say subtle backgrounds, those are just the light backgrounds, white backgrounds against, I don't know, dark font colors against light background or white background. Can we say something about the background? Nothing. It's because it's a subtle background. Now, if you don't want to use white backgrounds or yung mga light colored backgrounds like white or gray, you can also use pink or blue as long as it's light colored like powder blue, light pink, baby pink. Those are examples of light colored backgrounds. And what's the next guideline? Use high contrast. So that's what we talked about. And 7 and 8 are actually related to one another. As much as possible, use light color background. Next is check the grammar and the spelling. So far, I was not able to see any ungrammatical sentences and misspelled words. But who knows, if I'm going to scrutinize it, I might be able to see one. But your audience should, their focus should be on you and not on the slides. And they should not be able to detect a hint of any ungrammatical sentences here or wrong spelling because they are too focused on you. Next is you add the references. Was he able to add the references? Let's try to look. Yeah, definitely. He had several references. Only that the font color are too light against a white background, so he could have make this one black instead of gray because it seems to me it's grayish in color, and it was Eros S. Ocampo, the one that it's black. And then did he use all caps? Did he use uppercase all the way? No, he didn't. He used lowercase. Now, if you're one of those students, please, I know it's kind of difficult to unlearn it, hard to remove from your system. But for the sake of this PowerPoint presentation, since this is a project, you may try to use lowercase. For the meantime, now if you're done with the project, then you can go back, revert back to your original routine, which is using the uppercase. But to me, I would suggest try to unlearn it. Okay, so there is an activity, and you're just going to answer it in the Google Classroom. Now we're done with the PowerPoint. Now here is the example. Let's go to the PowerPoint project, which is by group. I want you to read the instructions. Instructions are here. It says here group individual project, maximum of 4 members per group. You can use either PowerPoint or Google Slides. The theme of the PowerPoint should be about environmental or societal issues. I haven't seen societal issues yet uh, fr- from the different sections that I've handled. It's more on environmental. How about trying societal issues? Now, let me remove environmental kasi I'm already over with the environmental. Let's do societal issues naman. Okay, so I edited it with your proposed resolution. Now, societal issues can include yung mga population growth, how can you resolve it? What about yung mga EJKs, yung mga about politics? Now, please use the guidelines in the module. And then other students are confused. Nasa po yung guidelines? It's in the module, and you would know that it's there if you've read or if you've been reading your module. Now, only one student will submit or will submit the project but will attach the name of the members. Now, if you're not the leader of, let's say, kahit wala na leader, everyone kasi is a leader. If you want to kasi only one will submit, and if you are not the submitter, you can just type in the comments the name of your group members and your name as well so that it will be easier for me to know what your score is. Kasi if tinype mo dyan, kagrupo mo sila ganyan, and I've already seen that your groupmate has already a score, then your score will follow their score. Okay? So just type the names of your group members. There's no need for you to submit. Only one submitter will do it. And then let me see if meron pang mga ano dito. Usually the common mistakes that students make in this one is that yun nga, they use pictures as background. Do not use pictures as your background, ha. Ganto lang. I don't want pictures as your background. And then yun lang, using yung mga all caps and then not putting references. Kasi once you already put, once you did not put references in your presentation, that's already a deduction. Now, the guideline, you have to do a checklist. Paano nyo malalaman kung if you will get a high score or not? How? Punta ka lang dito sa guideline. Did I use minimize number of slides? I mean, did I minimize the number of slides? How many slides do I have? If you have 20 slides, you should already expect that there is a deduction. Now, did I use a readable font style? Tinignan mo nandun na naka-Blackadder ITC ka. Then that's already a deduction. And then, did I use a readable font size? Naka 1 millimeter ka lang, panglanggam. So that's a deduction. Next is use bullet points or short sentences. If you've jam packed it with long paragraphs, that's already a deduction. Then if you did not use high quality pictures, that's a deduction. You did not use labels. You did not use subtle backgrounds. You did not use high contrast between background and text color. That's a deduction. Okay, so I hope that's clear to everybody. If you have questions, please let me know now. Please let me know now if you have questions, and we will now proceed with the next topic. Okay, so this one, even if I've already discussed the different types of speech, I want you to still read this one because your exams or your exam, the questions from the exams can be found here if you only would read the module. And I am still wondering why some students are having a difficulty when most of the questions are found in the module. Most of the answers are in the module. You just have to read. And it's created that way so that even if the professor would not teach you online, kasi di ba ang mga gen ed subjects are taught um, modularly. It's not face to face. The only reason why I'm doing this is because I love my students and I love my profession. So I do online even if kaya nga sinasabi ko pero other students are still complaining bakit daw may online pa. That's the reason why this is not something that I force to my students yung online kasi nga they don't have load anymore and I don't want them to alam mo yon to deplete or to decrease their data, decrement their data when it comes to their major subjects. Kasi last year, they were complaining, hindi na po ako nakaka-attend ng major subject is because of the minor subjects that are being presented online or discussed online. So yun, if you don't have data anymore, then just no, just go to the module. Okay. And then let's go to communication for general purposes. So, in this module, you will learn that having excellent communication skills can practically help you express yourself clearly and confidently, gain the respect of other people, achieve your goals, and succeed in life. If you've noticed yung mga great leaders natin, they are really good when it comes to communication because they are confident. They can gain respect of the other people and they can easily achieve their goals because they have a skill, and that is the communication skills. Now, even I, as a teacher, I'm still developing myself to become a good communicator. I'm joining yung mga Toastmasters, yung mga things that help me deliver a good speech in public. So, lesson one, principles and types of speech. And lesson two is connecting with the audience. So, I hope that even if you don't find communicating your cup of tea, you still try to improve it. So, yun. Kasi that's part, communication is a life skill. Para siya yung swimming, it's also a life skill. It will help you survive in case that you are riding a ship and then it sunk in the ocean, mga ganun. So, here are the principles and types of speech. Sabi dito, are you one of the people who are more comfortable communicating by sending messages through email, social media, or cellular phones than in person? Are you that kind of a person? Do you prefer talking to the person through social media, through chat, messenger, Gmail, or in person? Sa akin, so you try to answer that to yourself. But uh, if you're gonna ask me, I prefer both because there are some messages that are better delivered in writing than in personal, and there are some messages that are better delivered in person than in writing. Well, it depends on the person. Depends on you. Which do you prefer, and which whatever makes it easier for you to deliver your message. However, having competence in oral communication is important because it makes you become an effective communicator and a leader. Now, who is able to listen attentively to identify the conveyed meaning? Now, in communication, it's not just important for you to speak. Listening is also important because by listening, you'll be able to understand what the other person is trying to tell you. You are not overlooking the essence of the other person's message to you. And if you were able to overlook it, that's where misunderstanding starts. And then if you are a good communicator, you'll be able to collaborate with others, just like in a team or in a groupings. If you are a good communicator, if you know how to deliver your ideas very well, then your other classmates would easily believe you. It seems like he knows what he's saying and doing, so they will believe you. And then use critical thinking and problem solving skills. That's part of good communication. And then once you were able to, that's creativity. Critical thinking is not creativity, but it's more for evaluating, judging, analyzing. It's a lot of things that you need to do. Just like what I mentioned before, critical thinking is questioning whatever is presented to you, even if there are pieces of evidence. You should still know how to weigh those pieces of evidence if they're real or not. And number four, give appropriate feedback. And giving feedback, diba, when you give feedback, you have to be constructive. Yung, hindi yung makabigay ka lang ng feedback to the point na you're already hurting the feelings of the other person. It should be constructive. Parang, when I say constructive, you focus on how the person can improve what he's doing. Let's say for the presentation, how can he improve it instead of insulting the person, instead of insulting his work and saying bad things that he can never make it. That is not a very good example of a feedback. Okay, the dog is scratching the floor. And then, and you should be able to converse with others of different backgrounds. Kasi nga, this is purposive communication and you should be a globalized individual who knows how to communicate to other nationalities. You know where they're coming from. You are already have become a respectful person. You're not using language bias and all, and you know that you have to avoid discrimination. That all Muslims are terrorists. You are no longer like that, and you are no longer the same person who used to say the blind person is sitting beside me. You're no longer like that through this subject, I hope. Okay? So even if you're still judgmental, you have to keep it to yourself. Because being a judgmental person, sometimes we cannot really avoid it. We have our own way of evaluating, but it should be, alam mo yun, based on facts. We should be objective. Hindi yung based on emotion lang. Kasi ayaw mo sa taong yun kasi hindi ko lang siya feel. Ganun lang. That's subjective. So you have to be objective. Why don't you like the person? You have to you have to list down why you don't like him. And it should be a valid reason why you don't like the person. So, yun lang. Let's continue. Masyado na humaba. So, in providing types of speech, there should be the material, and it refers to your topic. Your material is your topic, which can be about your experiences in life, your observations, your inspiration. When you're going to deliver a speech, you should have a material, and that is your topic. Ano ba yung topic mo? Let's say you want a humorous speech, just like what I'm gonna do next Saturday, or if you're going to have any speech of any sort, there should be a topic. If it's entertainment, if it's you emotional, there. And then the message refers to the content. The topic is different from the content because the topic is just a minimal portion. It's on encompassing, but it's just the topic. Hindi siya yung talagang content or the main point of your speech. Kasi the message is quite longer, and that is where you should be able to persuade or entertain your listeners. And then when you are developing your message or the content of your speech, it is very important to know the needs, the beliefs, and values of your audience. Because if you're not going to consider your audience, their beliefs, their needs, and their probably practices, and let's say you are Iglesia or you are Catholic, there would be a clash there would always be a clash. So you should know the beliefs of your audience, and also aside from that, uh, regardless of whatever the religion, the beliefs, the nationality of the audience, you should still maintain respect. Yun yung baseline doon in order for you to avoid disharmony or clash. And then so yun. So you have to understand the background of your audience. So let's go to the different types of purposes, different purposes for speech. Number one, speech to inform. When you deliver a speech, it's for you to inform. So it provides the audience with clear understanding of the concept or idea presented by the speaker through lectures. Just like what I'm doing right now, I'm giving a lecture, and this is a kind of speech, a speech to inform my students on how things are done, how communication is delivered. So that is a speech to inform. If you are listening to someone and you are gaining something, knowledge or learning from the person, then that's speech to inform. Number two, speech to entertain, which seeks to provide audience with entertainment. And when we say entertainment, it's either it can be humorous, can be sad, and when you're entertained, they are trying to evoke emotion from you. Did you feel happy after the speech? Did you feel sad? Did you feel inspired? So those are kinds of speech to entertain. Like yung mga stand-up comedian, they used to entertain people. And if they're trying to make you cry, they're pulling your heartstrings. That's also a form of entertainment. And number three, speech to persuade. It seeks to provide audience with favorable, acceptable ideas that can influence their own ideas and decisions. Now, if you are doing a speech to persuade someone, there is a technique on how you could persuade the people. And why do you want to persuade the people? You have a purpose why you want to persuade them. And that is to see changes in their behavior, changes in their lifestyle, changes, and that can be a form of a feedback. If you've seen them, let's say you are an advocate of let's say ano bang advocacy mo is to eating healthy food. Now if you like eating hot dogs, then you will be persuaded not to eat hot dogs anymore after listening to the speech because you're persuaded. Ganun siya. And you will have a change of mind, lifestyle, or a belief after the persuasion. Now, how can you be persuaded? Now, the next project is the ethos, pathos, and the logos persuasion. Um, how can you persuade the people? We have here, let's go back to the classwork. Inexplain ko yung ethos, pathos, and logos here, but I would just explain it right now para na lang to dun sa mga students who are not able to attend the meeting. So are you still good? Are you still there? 25 students. Are you still okay?
Yes po. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
ma'am.
Yes
Great.
po.
Very
Great.
okay.
Good to know. Good to know that you're very okay and still alive. So yon. I know it's difficult to listen to lectures for a long period of time, but it's also difficult to explain and talk for a long period of time. So we're even, and I hope you're not yet bored. Okay. So the ethos, pathos, and logos, I want you to learn kasi most of the time you need to persuade other people. This is a life skill that you will learn from this subject. Not from me, but from this subject. It's the ethos, the pathos, and the logos. Who amongst you already know what is ethos, pathos, and logos? So, wala pa. Ethos, pathos, and logos are modes of persuasion, and they are also referred to the three artistic proofs, which is coined by Aristotle. And they're all represented by Greek words. Now, what is ethos? Ethos is the ethical appeal, which means to convince your audience through the author's credibility or character. And it's the Greek word for character, yung ethos. Anong example ng ethos? Let's say, between a boxer and an LPT, or a licensed professional teacher with a major in English, who would you believe when it comes to speech delivery? Someone who would give you lecture for a speech delivery. Would you believe Manny Pacquiao, or would you rather have Manny Pacquiao to be the one who would give you the lecture about persuasion, or would you rather believe Miss Mendoza, who is an LPT with a major in English, to give you a lecture about speech? Sinong mas paniniwalaan nyo?
Kayo po, ma'am.
So you're going to, of course, believe the LPT. It's because, okay, so it's because that is my major, and I graduated with a degree in English. Also, I'm an LPT, so it's more convincing that the lecture would come from me than from a boxer or from a senator with a different line of profession. Ganun siya. That's how you're going to convince your listeners. Sasabihin mo, you're going to tell your audience, I as an LPT, I as a teacher who graduated with major in English, or kahit sa inyo na lang, let's say I as an IT professional knows how to repair computers or make programs, yung mga ganon. And they would easily believe you because you are an IT. Mas madali nilang paniniwalaan instead of believing someone, let's say, a bystander. Oh, alam kong gawin yan. Alam kong mag-program. But if you're going to use your character, you as an educated person, then people would more believe you than the rest of the people in the world. And then that's for ethos, which means character. And then if another type of ethos kasi, if people know your character as being honest all the time, and then the other person whom they don't know, or whom they've already caught saying dishonesty, then they would believe you because you have an integrity as a person, and that is your character. Kilala ka na nila. 'Di ba nga sa in televisions, when there is a crime, they would usually say, "Oh, kilala ko po 'yang batang 'yan. Mabait po 'yan. Hindi po niya magagawa 'yun. Hindi po niya magagawang pumatay." It's because they are trying to use the character of the person, of the suspect, as someone who cannot hurt a fly. Ganon. And then that's for ethos. Now, for the pathos, or the emotional appeal, which means to persuade an audience by appealing to their emotions. So authors can use pathos to invoke sympathy from an audience, to make the audience feel what the author wants them to feel. Papaawa ka. Let's say you're trying to pull their heartstrings. Kahit you can use this pathos even if you're not delivering a speech, but you are trying to convince your boss. Sabi mo, boss, please do not uh, please do not fire me because I have like 5 children to feed and they're all in college. So please. So tapos, and my parents are kanyari sick, ganyan ganyan, and I really need this job. That's an example of a pathos. You don't really have factual, I mean, that's a fact. Kunyari, totoo man ganon. But you don't really have yung mga logical evidences coming from surveys from law, or coming from statistical studies, experiments. Walang ganon. It's purely emotional. You want them to feel sad. You want them to pity you so that you won't get fired from your job. And that is pathos. You can use that thing or that strategy. Let's say you want to woo a woman. You are trying to court someone. Of course, you're not going to make paawa. You're not going to use the emotional appeal to make you look like pathetic. What you're going to do is to uh, pull her emotion. I mean, pull the emotional appeal card, but you're not going to make paawa, but to make her happy. You use the emotion of happiness, di ba? Usually, when ladies see men or men who are humorous, even if the guy isn't that handsome, they find it very appealing. Di ba yung mga jokers, napapansin ko, kahit hindi sila gwapo, pero ang dami lang chicks. Ganon. So, I think it has something to do with the persuasion of the pathos. Once you were able to pick the interest of the person with their emotion, kasi ang emotional is it ang emotion of a person has a high impact more than intellect. Kahit na hindi masyadong believable yung logos mo, as long as your pathos is talagang striking, then it will be easier for you to persuade your audience. Ganun siya. And then, common use of pathos would be to draw pity, inspire anger from an audience. What they're usually doing, the BBMs, the Lennys, I don't know. Basta they're trying to use the emotion to play with people. I mean, they're using that kind of strategy to play with the people's emotions because that can strike anger to one politician and then the other. Kaya you have to be very careful when listening to those. Are they using the pathos, the logos, or the or the you have to balance. You have to weigh the evidences presented to you. Baka puro pathos lang kaya ka na persuade. Ang pathos minsan, pwede yung pagsinungalingan. Pwedeng hindi totoo yan. So, you have to proceed now to the logos. The appeal to logic, which means to convince an audience by the use of logic or reason. This comes, would be citing facts, statistics, historical and literal analogies, and citing certain authorities on a subject. And logos is the Greek word for logic. Now, if the person has already presented yung mga papers coming from the Supreme Court, coming from the law, coming from someone, or from the statistical studies, mga research experiments, those are logos. And it's based on logic and reason. The reason why I hate this person is because he is a thief. The reason why I hate this person, and how were you able to prove that he is a thief? Of course, the Supreme Court has a proof to it. They can provide you the evidence that he really stole 5 pesos, not 5 pesos because that's forgivable. He really stole 50 million or billion pesos, something like that. And you cannot deny it. You cannot oppose it because it's already a fact. For I have an example kasi before there was this honor student na he she used her speech graduation rights na sinabi niya na parang um she's not okay with the valedictorian to be the valedictorian because according to her she is supposed to be the valedictorian, and she said that in her graduation rights. Pero how did she prove that she is supposed to be the valedictorian? So ngayon sinabi ko, I mentioned in the group, I mean in the comment kasi hilig din ako mag sa Facebook. I like putting comments. How sa akin kasi sabi ko dun sa comment, ano ka masyado kang assuming girl, ganyan. To that extent. Assuming ka, paano mo nalamang ikaw dapat ang valedictorian? Were you able to compare your grade vis-a-vis with that of the valedictorians? Hindi naman niya, she will never be able to compare that. Ngayon, there was this commenter, another commentator na nagsabi sa akin that I am stupid, ganyan-ganyan, blah, blah, blah. But he did not know that I said my comment based on facts. Bakit naging facts? Eh, wala naman akong in-state na ano doon. So ngayon, I laid down that according to the Republic Act, let's say 669, that schools teachers are not allowed to show the grades of a student to other people. So ngayon, papaano niyang nalaman yung grades nung valedictorian? How was she able to compare the grades of the valedictorian to hers, to her grade? Kasi if you were not able to see the grades because of there is a protecting law, RA, let's say 669, she will not be able to do that. And after that, it will all be just an assumption. It's just a conjecture. Sa isip niya, siya yung valedictorian, pero when in fact, wala siyang, alam mo yun, yung strong evidence to prove that she's supposed to be the valedictorian. Now, that's what I say. That's what I mean when we say logos. You use logic. Ngayon, binalikan ko siya, sabi ko, bobo pa sa bobo, ang bobong nagmamarunong. 'Di ba? Ang harsh ko. Pero, hindi ko lang naman kasi basta sasabihin yon without a basis. So, ako naman kasi I don't want to embarrass myself further without kasi ayoko magsalita ng walang basis, walang evidence. So, kaya ako nasabi yon. Tapos biglang may umenter na nag-comment sa akin ng ganon. And after that comment, na pinaliwanag ko sa kanya that there is a Republic Act for that, hindi na siya nag-reply. Sabi ko, I'm waiting for your response. Inulit-ulit ko pang ganon. Then, he's gone. Hindi na siya nag-reply totally. So, that is how you are going to protect your comments. That's how you're going to protect your ideas by supporting it with facts. And you can also do that here by using the ethos, the pathos, and the logos. And these three, when combined, would be a very, very powerful combination in order for you to persuade your audience. Now, you may try to experiment it. May try using it to your parents, to your sisters, to your friends. Use the ethos, pathos, and the logos. Isa nga lang dito is very powerful na eh. Kahit either of the three is already powerful. What more if you combine all three? The more you will be able to persuade your audience. Okay, so I'm already going beyond. Now let's move on to methods of delivery. We have the manuscript. Manu means man or hand, and then script is the letter, handwritten. So the speech is delivered by speakers who intend to read aloud their speech forward to the audience. And one example is writing or reading a proclamation paper. It's written on a paper, you're going to announce it. That's a manuscript type of speech. And then the memorized, based from the word memory, all that you need to say is already stored in your memory, and you're going to deliver it without reading anything. Next is extemporaneous. This is delivered by speakers who intend to present a well-crafted speech, and it's fully prepared and perfectly rehearsed ahead of time. So an example is an invitation from your former school to give an inspirational talk to graduates. But extemporaneous, you can have a cheat sheet here, like a guide, a short note, or short notes for you to be guided on the next topic that you are going to discuss. That's an extemporaneous speech. Okay. And you are now going to answer an activity. By the way, for the vlog project, you are going to it can be solo or max of 3 members for the vlog project. But if you're going to have group members and if you're going to see one another, please follow protocols and be creative if you're going to do it by group. Okay. Now, a lot of questions might surge create a YouTube channel. If you don't want a YouTube channel, then just send me the link. Just send me the link of the video. And much better if you can upload it. If you have already subscribers on your YouTube channel, and I will follow you, okay? Or I will subscribe to your YouTube channel. Next is create a 3-minute vlog. I only need a 3-minute vlog video about a question. Do students need to study gen ed subjects like purposive communication? The question is, you are you against or are you pro gen ed subjects? Do you really need purposive communication subjects or gen ed subjects like PC? If yes, you have to persuade me. If no, you have to persuade me. How are you going to persuade me? Use the ethos, pathos, and the logos. Okay? And then you will be graded with the content. Okay? The content should have ethos, pathos, and logos, and that's 40%. I want to see it. I want to see your ethos, pathos, and logos. And if I say ethos, pathos, and logos, some of the students, ang ginawa nila, inexplain nila what is ethos, inexplain nila what is pathos, inexplain what is logos. I don't need an explanation for ethos and pathos and logos because I already know it. Alam na alam ko na kung ano yung ethos, pathos, and logos. What I want to see is how you're going to apply the ethos, pathos, and logos in your speech. How you're going to persuade me. Of course, how I explained it earlier, that's how you're going to do it. Next is creativity. That's 30%. And purpose of the video is 30%. And your purpose must be clear. Your purpose is to persuade me. Ngayon, it's connected to letter A, content, ethos, pathos, and logos. If it's not there, then wala na. Yung creativity is also good kasi if you're able to include yung mga background, yung mga music, background music, maganda sila, tapos yung transition. Although I don't need those things, pero much better kung meron ganon. That's part of creativity. And then upload it on YouTube channel and attach the link to the video here. Make sure the video has quality and you wouldn't be ashamed to let everybody watch it. Because I'm going to choose a vlog that I'm going to post on my FB. Kaya don't do something that you would be ashamed of presenting to the people because this is public speech. Okay. And then remember to make it purposeful and intended for the general audience. Be respectful. Individually submit a peer rating of your group mates. Kasi there are some students who just rely on their classmates. So only one will submit. But the rest of the group should, alam mo yun, give them one, let's say, kunyari, tatlo kayo. For Mark, I'm gonna give Mark 2. For Sheila, I'm gonna give her 1. For Penelope, I'm gonna give her 2. Ngayon, what does it represent? 1 is when your classmate only gave her ideas. No more effort and alam mo yun, laway lang, ideas lang. And 2, give 2 for effort. No idea but effort. Walang idea pero naggawa naman. And number 3, ideas with effort. That's the highest. 3. So that's it. And if I forget anything, please let me know so I can add it here. I want you to peer rate your classmates so that everybody will perform. May points kasi to, additional points ito. So please don't forget to add it. And then, connecting with your audience, I just want you to read this. Hindi ko na isasama to, pero it's included in the exam. You just have to read it. How to connect to your audience. It's just short. Ryan.
Ma'am, ma'am, are we free to choose our members to create a certain group?
Yeah, you have the freedom to choose your members.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you po.
Now, if you're having a difficulty joining a group, you just send me a message or mag-chat kayo dun sa group natin, dun sa GC natin. Kasi I know some students, they are having a difficult time looking for group mates. Probably no one is inviting them or no one wants to include them. Probably hindi siya nagko-contribute or what. Please let me know. But if you want to go on solo, you can also go on solo. Okay. Meron pa ba? Tingnan ko lang ha. Communication for professional purposes. Okay, this one is for finals. We will stop here. So we started 8 o'clock and it's already 9:21. Just read this one, ha? I'll just give you a short summary for this one, lesson to connecting with the audience. Because this one is included in the exam and you have to read it. So how are you going to connect with your audience? Because not all audiences are the same. Di sila pare-pareho. They are coming from different backgrounds. And whatever you're going to say would land on them, on their minds differently. Just like what I am doing right now, whatever I am telling to all of my students, since all of you have different backgrounds, different experiences, different practices, whatever I am saying would be taken differently and might be interpreted differently in among each and every one of you. So yun, I try to make it as general as much as I can. So you have to respond to what you see. If your audience are already yawning, they are already, I mean, it means that they're already sleepy. You have to do something to revive them. So yun, respond to what you see. If you think that they need something, if someone is raising a hand, so you try to call them. Next is look at people at a bit longer. This is to establish real connection, and this is for you to gain their trust and eye contact. This is ito lang yon. You need to look at them so that they can feel your presence and yun. But be careful with this. If you glance over the audience too long, they will feel neglected or not neglected. Pagka kunyari, if you've been staring at them for so long, they will find you very creepy. Parang ang creepy naman ito, nakatingin sa akin, tagal-tagal na, kaninang-kanina pa. May gusto kaya siya sa akin. Parang ganun. So that's creepy. And don't try to stare. Just look. Eye contact and then break away after 2 seconds or 3 seconds. And then smile and have fun. You are trying to exude positive energy if you smile, and your audience are having fun while they listen to you. And if you're trying to be nega or the negatron, then it doesn't feel comfortable listening. Sometimes I am like this one. Sometimes I get angry while discussing. So I hope you were not carried away if I raise my voice or if I get mad at a certain topic. So dapat yun, hindi ko ginagawa yun, but you have to smile and have fun. Okay? You can crack jokes, but you have to be sensitive with the jokes that you are going to crack. Baka you might offend your listeners. So don't make fun of specific groups, specific illnesses or diseases, and try to be personal. You try to give a piece of you. When I say piece of you, you try to tell a story about your life, kahit short lang. It makes it personal so that your audience can relate with you. Something that and when you try to tell a story about yourself, make sure that it's connected to the topic and something that your audience can relate with. Oh, nakaka-relate ako dyan sa sinabi mo na yan, ganyan. And number 5, refer to what they already know. So you try um, to know their background information so that they can relate with what you're going to say and walk towards your audience. You try to go closer to them. Kasi nga, the closer you are to them, the more that they can feel you. It's like Wi-Fi signal. The closer you are, then the stronger the presence. Okay? And then, or the signal. And then compliment the audience. Don't forget to say positive, good words, encouraging words to your audience, just like what I'm going to do later at this lecture. That all of my IT students are good. They are very diligent and they love studying. Oh, yeah. Okay, no joke. And then, ano ba ba? Last but not the least, tell a story. Telling a story can hook your audience. They can you can get their attention because usually a story is like a series of events on story, so they are waiting for what's going to happen next. And it's important for you to catch their attention, to grab their attention by telling a story. Okay, questions. Just read this, and the pre-finals is due. Okay, um, sagarin na natin hanggang 9:30. I still have 3 minutes. Okay, so for the ethos, pathos, and the logos, BSIT 1E, I think I've already set the due dates. Okay, so for the quiz number 5, it's due on November 5. Actually, that's way too late. Let me make it today. Multiple choices lang naman yun. Today is the 3rd. Oh, 4th na lang. Sige, mabait naman ako. Activity number 4 is due on November 8. Let's make it November 5. Now, um, if you have violent reactions, please let me know now. Baka mami pag-uusapan niyo ako pag nakatalikod na ako. Si ma'am, maaga naman binigay ng ganyan-ganyan. Ang dami-dami pinagagawa. Ngayon lang ako nagpagawa po ng madami. It's pre-finals, and then for the finals, you only have one activity, which is to write a formal letter, but I will guide you. Okay. November 9, 5, 9, 12, and 13. What about for the pre-finals? November 9, because the pre-finals is easier as compared to the vlog project and the PowerPoint. Okay, questions? 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 So thank you so much to all those who attended, 24 students. Actually, earlier it was 25. So see you again, not next week, but the week after. So that's going to be the 17th of November. See you on the 17th of November. Thank you so much for attending. And if you have questions, please let me know through chat or in the GC. And thank you so much. I hope you have a great day ahead. Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you po,
Bye.
ma'am.
Thank you po,
Thank
ma'am.
you
Thank
po.
you po. Thank you po.
Bye.